It was an ordinary Saturday afternoon when our lives took an unexpected turn. The sun was shining brightly, casting a warm glow over our neighborhood, and we had planned a family outing to celebrate my daughter's birthday. Little did we know that the Homeowners Association, HOA, which we had always regarded as somewhat annoying but ultimately harmless, had a sinister surprise in store for us. As we gathered our things and stepped out of the house, laughter and excitement filled the air. But our joy quickly turned to confusion, then panic. There, at the end of our cul-de-sac, lay a series of sharp spike strips laid out like a dangerous welcome mat. My heart raced as I realized what they were: deliberate obstacles meant to trap us in our own driveway. It was a brazen show of power designed to intimidate us into compliance with their latest demands. With adrenaline pumping and my daughter's wide eyes reflecting fear rather than joy, I took a deep breath. This wasn't just an infringement on our basic rights as homeowners. It was an outright attack on our freedom. As the best lawyer in Texas, I had faced many challenges in my career, but this felt personal. It ignited a fire within me, a determination to protect my family and take a stand against the oppressive tactics of the HOA. This was not just about legality. It was about justice and the lengths to which I would go to reclaim our peace of mind. To understand the gravity of the situation, it's essential to delve into the nature of our Homeowners Association. Initially, we viewed the HOA as just a group of well-meaning neighbors tasked with maintaining property values and ensuring everyone adhered to community guidelines. They managed landscaping, enforced rules about home exteriors, and organized neighborhood events, which seemed harmless enough at first. However, beneath this polished facade lay an unsettling reality. As time went on, we began to notice a shift in their approach. What started as friendly reminders about lawn care soon escalated into a series of increasingly aggressive demands. The board members, once approachable, became overly authoritative, wielding their power with an iron fist. Meetings often felt more like interrogations than collaborations, and dissenting voices were quickly silenced. The spike strips were merely the latest in a long line of intimidation tactics designed to keep residents in line. More than just a means to enforce compliance, they represented a deeper issue: an HOA that had lost sight of its purpose and morphed into a fear-driven regime. My own experiences with the board had left me frustrated. I had witnessed neighbors bullied for minor infractions and felt our community's spirit being chipped away. This wasn't just about property management anymore. It was about standing up against tyranny disguised in the guise of governance. As a lawyer, I knew I had to fight back, not just for my family but for all the homeowners who felt trapped under their oppressive rule. The day of the incident started like any other. The sun climbed higher in the sky as my daughter squealed with excitement, eager to head out for a day filled with laughter and cake. We loaded up the car, oblivious to the trap that awaited us just beyond our driveway. The air was fragrant with blooming flowers, but beneath that pleasant facade lurked a tension I could not yet sense. As we stepped outside, our cheerful chatter abruptly halted. The sight of the spike strips stretched across the street felt surreal and shocking, almost as if a scene from a dystopian film had come to life. My mind raced as I assessed the situation. Sharp metal points glinting menacingly in the sunlight symbolized not just an obstacle but an aggressive attack on our freedom to leave our home. Adrenaline surged through me. I instinctively moved to shield my children from harm. My heart thudded in my chest as I processed what this meant for us: entrapment on our own property by the very entity meant to protect our community. In that moment, fear shifted into anger, igniting a fierce resolve within me. I could feel my daughter's eyes on me, wide with confusion and concern, and it fueled my determination. This was more than an act of intimidation. It was a declaration of war against our rights as homeowners. With each passing second, I realized I had no choice but to confront this injustice head-on, not only for my family but for anyone else who had been similarly oppressed by the HOA's heavy-handed tactics. As I stood there, grappling with the shock of the spike strips laid out for all to see, my legal training kicked in. I had spent years navigating the intricacies of Texas law, advocating for clients against unjust practices. But this was deeply personal to my mind raced through the relevant statutes and case law that could be leveraged against the HOA. The situation demanded clarity amid chaos, and I knew that my expertise could turn this emotional battle into a legal fight. I remembered the community guidelines the HOA had established, which were designed to foster harmony among residents, not to instill fear. My experience as a lawyer meant I could dissect their actions and present a compelling argument against their oppressive tactics. The very same laws they claimed to uphold could now serve as our shield. In the days that followed, I began gathering evidence, documenting everything from photographs of the spike strips to accounts from neighbors who had faced similar intimidation. Each piece of information was crucial in building my case, not just for my family but as a stand against the HOA's overreach. This was more than just a legal dispute. It was about accountability and restoring balance within our community. Armed with my knowledge and determination, I felt empowered to confront the HOA head-on. The time had come to turn legal principles into action and fight for justice, not only for myself but for anyone who felt powerless under their regime. As I immersed myself in this legal battle, my first step was to assess whether the HOA had violated any laws in their deployment of the spike strips. The implications of their actions reached far beyond mere inconvenience. They represented a blatant disregard for homeowner rights and safety. Texas law is clear regarding the use of physical barriers on private property, and I needed to determine if their actions crossed legal boundaries. I began by reviewing the HOA's governing documents and community guidelines, which outlined permissible actions for managing common areas. It became evident that such extreme measures, spike strips designed to injure, were not mentioned as acceptable enforcement tools. In fact, their actions seemed to contradict the very spirit of fostering community harmony they had claimed to uphold. Next, I turned to state statutes concerning property rights and personal safety. My research revealed that homeowners have a right to access their property without undue obstruction. As these revelations unfolded, I felt a growing sense of clarity. Not only had the HOA overstepped its authority, but it had done so at the expense of our safety. Consulting with fellow legal professionals further solidified my understanding of potential claims against the HOA. I engaged in discussions about negligence, trespass, and even potential criminal charges related to endangerment. Each legal principle pointed towards a compelling case against their tyranny. This was not merely a matter of legal technicalities. It was about standing up for our basic rights and ensuring that no other family would face such intimidation in our community again. With a clearer understanding of the legal landscape, I knew that gathering solid evidence would be crucial in my fight against the HOA. The first step was to document everything related to the spike strips incident. I started by taking photographs from various angles, ensuring I captured not just the strips themselves but also the context, the street, our driveway, and any nearby houses that could serve as witnesses. Next, I reached out to neighbors who had witnessed the event. Conversations with them revealed that several residents had been intimidated by the HOA in the past, which strengthened our collective resolve. Their accounts of previous encounters with aggressive enforcement tactics added weight to my case. I conducted informal interviews, noting their experiences and opinions about the spike strips and other draconian measures used by the HOA. I also reviewed any official communications from the HOA regarding community regulations and enforcement actions. This included newsletters, meeting minutes, and emails that outline their policies and decision-making processes. The more I uncovered about their history of intimidation and overreach, the clearer it became that my family was not alone in facing such hostility. To further bolster my case, I researched similar incidents involving HOAs across Texas to identify patterns or precedents. This would allow me to draw parallels that could resonate in court or during negotiations. Each piece of evidence I collected brought us one step closer to holding the HOA accountable for their actions, transforming our personal ordeal into a broader fight for justice within our community. As news of the spike strip incident spread through our neighborhood, the community's reaction was one of shock and disbelief. Many residents were initially hesitant to believe that the HOA had resorted to such extreme measures, but as discussions unfolded, it became evident that my family's experience was not an isolated incident. Friends and neighbors began sharing their own encounters with aggressive enforcement tactics employed by the HOA, revealing a troubling pattern of behavior that had long gone unchallenged. Some residents expressed fear about speaking out publicly, worried about potential reprisals from the HOA. However, a growing number were emboldened by our situation, they realized that voicing their concerns could pave the way for change. Informal gatherings started to form in our community, where neighbors exchanged stories and ideas on how to address the HOA's heavy-handed practices collectively. This support network fostered a sense of unity and determination. Realizing I wasn't alone in this fight further fueled my resolve. During these gatherings, I encouraged fellow homeowners to document their experiences and prepare for possible legal action. It became clear that many shared similar anxieties about losing their homes or facing intimidation for speaking up. As the community rallied together against the HOA's oppressive tactics, I felt an undeniable energy, a collective desire for justice that transcended personal grievances. We had the potential to challenge an unjust authority not only for my family but for every resident feeling trapped within the confines set by an increasingly tyrannical HOA. Together, we aimed to reclaim our rights and restore harmony within our neighborhood. Building on the momentum generated by community support, I began developing a focused legal strategy to challenge the HOA's actions. The first phase involved clearly outlining our grievances, which included the use of spike strips, intimidation tactics, and violations of property rights. I wanted to ensure that our case was comprehensive and cohesive, demonstrating not just my family's experience but also the broader impact on the community. Next, I identified key legal claims to pursue. These included negligence for the dangerous deployment of spike strips, potential assault if anyone were harmed, and violations of Texas property law concerning reasonable access. Each claim would be fortified with the evidence I had collected, allowing us to paint a vivid picture of the HOA's overreach. In parallel, I began formulating an approach for community engagement. It was essential for all affected homeowners to feel empowered and unified in this fight. Organizing meetings in informal settings or local parks encouraged many to share their stories and participate actively. With their first-hand accounts forming an additional reservoir of evidence, we could illustrate the systemic nature of the HOA's oppressive practices. Knowing that litigation can be lengthy and expensive, I also considered alternative dispute resolution methods such as mediation as a first step. This could allow us to address grievances without escalating to a court battle right away. By laying out multiple avenues for resolving our issues while preparing for a legal confrontation if necessary, we would remain flexible yet determined in our pursuit of justice against a powerful adversary. The time had come to confront the HOA directly, and I felt a mix of anticipation and trepidation as I prepared for the meeting. We gathered in the large community center, where the HOA board typically held its discussions. The room was filled with tension, a stark contrast to the usual camaraderie we once shared as neighbors. With residents lining the walls, I took my place at the front, ready to present our case. As the meeting commenced, I opened by addressing the board's recent actions, specifically their deployment of spike strips. I laid out the facts with precision, clearly articulating how this extreme measure had violated not only our rights as homeowners but also their own regulations meant to promote community welfare. My voice, steady and resolute, echoed through the room as I urged them to recognize the severity of their actions. To my surprise, some board members appeared visibly uncomfortable while others resorted to defensive posturing, insisting that they were merely enforcing rules for community safety. However, I countered their claims with documented evidence, photos of the spike strips and testimonies from neighbors who had suffered similar intimidation tactics. The atmosphere shifted as residents began to murmur in agreement. They too had experienced fear and frustration under the HOA's authoritarian rule. By appealing to both emotion and legality, I sought not just accountability but a new direction for our community. It was clear that this confrontation was about more than just my family. It was about reclaiming our neighborhood from fear and fostering an environment where all voices could be heard. The tide was turning, and together we would challenge this oppressive regime. Following the community meeting, there was a palpable sense of hope as residents rallied together, but soon we encountered numerous challenges in trying to effect change. While many homeowners were eager to support our cause, some remained hesitant, fearful of potential retaliation from the HOA. This division became a significant setback as it stalled our momentum. We needed unity to confront an organization that thrived on intimidation. In our pursuit of resolution, we attempted mediation with the HOA board, believing this could foster a constructive dialogue. However, the process fell short of expectations when the board members approached it with defensiveness rather than a willingness to listen or compromise. Their dismissive attitude toward our concerns only intensified frustrations among community members and reinforced the need for stronger action. Moreover, as we built our case, I faced delays in accessing public documents and communications from the HOA that would substantiate our claims. Navigating bureaucratic red tape proved frustrating and time-consuming, testing my patience and resolve. Despite these obstacles, I made it a priority to keep community spirits high by organizing additional meetings where we could share updates and strategize next steps. The support from fellow residents was crucial in maintaining morale during this challenging time. Their stories fueled my determination to continue fighting back against an entrenched authority that had long silenced dissenters. Ultimately, these setbacks served as reminders of the uphill battle we faced but also ignited a fire within us. A collective desire not just to reclaim our rights, but to transform the entire nature of governance within our community. With mounting frustrations and obstacles in our path, I decided it was time to escalate our efforts by taking legal action against the HOA. The documents I had meticulously gathered, along with testimonies from supportive neighbors, formed the backbone of our case. It was clear that we could no longer rely solely on dialogue or mediation. We needed to demonstrate that the HOA's actions were not just unacceptable but illegal. I drafted a formal complaint that outlined our grievances in detail, citing specific Texas laws that the HOA had violated through their aggressive tactics, particularly their deployment of spike strips. This complaint would serve as our declaration of war against an entity that had long imposed its will through intimidation and fear. As I prepared to file the complaint, I felt a mix of determination and apprehension. This was a significant step into uncharted territory for many residents. The community rallied behind my decision. They understood that taking legal action was essential not only for my family but for all those who felt oppressed by the HOA's practices. We organized a meeting to discuss the next steps, allowing residents to voice their concerns and affirm their collective commitment to support the legal battle. The energy in the room shifted from anxiety to empowerment as we recognized that we were standing up for something larger than ourselves, a shared vision of justice and fairness. As I filed the complaint with the local court, I knew we had crossed a pivotal threshold. We were no longer passive victims but active participants in our own defense, ready to reclaim our rights and reshape the future of our community. The day of the trial arrived with a palpable tension that filled the courthouse. As I entered the courtroom, flanked by supportive neighbors who had come to witness the proceedings, a wave of determination washed over me. This was the moment we had all been working toward, a chance to hold the HOA accountable for their oppressive actions. The courtroom was buzzing with anticipation as familiar faces filled the benches, a reminder that this fight was about more than just my family. It was about everyone who had been intimidated by the HOA. The proceedings began with opening statements from both sides. The HOA's attorney presented their case, attempting to downplay their actions and frame our complaints as unfounded grievances from disgruntled residents. However, I could feel the energy shift in the room as I took my turn at the podium. My voice steady, I emphasized not only the legal violations but also how their tactics had instilled fear and anxiety in our community. As witnesses were called, each neighbor's testimony contributed to a growing narrative of intimidation and overreach. Their stories echoed my own experiences and reinforced our collective resolve. I watched as jurors leaned in attentively, clearly moved by our struggles. During cross-examination, I remained focused and composed while challenging any misleading assertions made by the opposing counsel. Every question posed only strengthened my conviction. By the end of the day, as we stepped out of the courtroom, a sense of solidarity united us. We were no longer alone but part of a movement seeking justice. Whatever the outcome might be, I knew we had already begun to reclaim our power and reshape our community's future. As we gathered in the courtroom for the verdict, the atmosphere was thick with anticipation and anxiety. Each resident who had supported this fight stood with me, an embodiment of resilience against the HOA's oppressive tactics. The judge entered, and silence fell over the room, each heartbeat echoing loudly as we awaited the decision that could reshape our community's future. When the judge began to read the verdict, my heart raced. Every word felt weighted with significance. The ruling confirmed our claims. The HOA had indeed overstepped its authority by deploying spike strips and using intimidation as a means of enforcement. We had fought not just for our family but for every homeowner who had felt their rights were trampled upon. It was a monumental moment. A clear message that such tactics would not be tolerated. Cheers erupted in the courtroom as my neighbors hugged one another, tears of relief streaming down some faces. We had achieved what many thought impossible. We had collectively stood up to an entity that thrived on fear. While the judge outlined possible penalties for the HOA and discussed how they must adjust their governance approach, I absorbed the moment. This victory was about more than just legalities. It symbolized a reclamation of power and a commitment to unity among residents. As we left the courthouse, renewed energy coursed through us. We were no longer victims but active participants in shaping our community's governance. The fight against fear and intimidation had sparked a movement toward justice that would resonate far beyond this single case, marking a new chapter for all homeowners in our neighborhood. In the aftermath of the trial, the community transformed in ways I had never anticipated. The ruling against the HOA not only validated our collective grievances, but also inspired action throughout the neighborhood. Residents who had previously felt isolated began to organize more formally, creating a homeowners association that prioritized transparency and resident voices over intimidation tactics. Community meetings flourished as neighbors gathered to discuss a new vision for governance, one that fostered collaboration rather than fear. A sense of empowerment replaced the anxiety that had once permeated our lives, and discussions of shared goals transformed into plans for future community events, workshops, and initiatives aimed at enhancing our neighborhood. The victory catalyzed changes to HOA policies, compelling board members to adopt more inclusive practices in decision-making processes. Many residents took on leadership roles, actively participating in discussions about rules and regulations that governed our community. This newfound engagement created an atmosphere of accountability that had been sorely lacking. Moreover, stories of our fight against the oppressive HOA spread beyond our cul-de-sac. Other neighborhoods facing similar issues reached out for advice and support, leading to a network of communities united against authoritarian practices. We became advocates for homeowners' rights in the region, sharing our experiences through local media and social platforms to inspire others in similar situations. Ultimately, this journey revealed the strength of collective action. What began as a personal fight morphed into a powerful movement for justice and community empowerment. Our neighborhood was no longer defined by fear but by resilience and unity, a testament to what can be achieved when individuals come together to reclaim their rights. Reflecting on this transformative journey, several key lessons emerged that shaped not only my perspective but also the community's future. First and foremost, the power of unity became abundantly clear. When residents band together, they can effect change against even the most powerful adversaries. The fear that had once paralyzed many homeowners quickly dissolved into courage as we collectively voiced our concerns and fought back against the tyranny of the HOA. I also learned that grassroots activism starts with awareness and information sharing. The act of simply documenting experiences and speaking out fostered a climate where others felt safe to share their stories, reinforcing a sense of solidarity. This experience highlighted the importance of creating a support network where individuals could feel empowered to engage with governance without fear. Moreover, perseverance played a crucial role. Our path was riddled with setbacks, from bureaucratic delays to initial resistance from some community members. Yet each challenge strengthened our resolve. We recognized that fighting for justice was not merely a singular event but an ongoing commitment to safeguarding our rights and ensuring accountability. Lastly, I realized that informed advocacy is vital in complex legal landscapes. Having first-hand experience as both a lawyer and a grieved homeowner enriched my understanding of legal processes and community dynamics, allowing me to craft strategies that resonated with both emotions and regulations. As we moved forward, these lessons became guiding principles, reminding us that resilience in the face of adversity creates empowered communities, ready to reclaim their rights and foster healthier governance for all. As I reflect on this journey, I feel compelled to encourage others who might find themselves in similar predicaments. If you're facing intimidation from an organization that is supposed to support you, know that your voice matters. Community empowerment starts with individuals willing to stand up against injustice, no matter how daunting the challenge may seem. Remember, unity is a powerful weapon. Surround yourself with neighbors who share your concerns. Together, you can amplify your voices and create meaningful change. Organize meetings, share experiences, and encourage one another to document any grievances or violations. When people come together with a common purpose, they can disrupt even the most entrenched systems of oppression. Don't underestimate the power of grassroots activism. Small acts of courage, like speaking out, writing letters, or attending town hall meetings, can catalyze broader movements. It's often in these grassroots efforts that real change begins. Perseverance is vital as well. There may be setbacks along the way, but resilience will help carry you through. When facing obstacles such as bureaucracy or pushback from those in authority, stay focused on your goals and remain committed to advocating for what is right. Lastly, educate yourself about your rights and local governance structures. Knowledge is essential. Informed advocacy enables you to navigate complex legal landscapes effectively and creates a safer environment for all. Your determination can inspire others. Together we can build stronger, more equitable communities where every resident's rights are respected and upheld. Stand firm and be fearless in your pursuit of justice. The outcome can reshape not only your neighborhood, but also set an example for others across the country. As we close this chapter of our journey, it's clear that the fight against the HOA was not just a battle for our family's rights. It evolved into a powerful movement for justice and community empowerment. The experience has taught us that standing up to intimidation can yield transformative results, fostering resilience and solidarity among neighbors who previously felt isolated. In many ways, this journey highlighted the essence of community. When individuals unite with a common purpose, they can challenge even the most entrenched systems of oppression. Our collective experiences created a tapestry of shared struggles, which became a source of strength that propelled us forward. The formation of a new Homeowners Association, grounded in principles of transparency and collaboration, signifies a promising shift in how governance can be approached. This new structure empowers residents to take an active role in decision-making processes, ensuring that everyone's voice is heard and respected. Going forward, I encourage other communities facing similar challenges to harness the lessons we've learned. Prioritize open communication, embrace grassroots activism, and remain steadfast in the pursuit of justice. Education about rights and local governance can empower residents to reclaim their spaces and create healthier environments for all. Let this story serve as a reminder that resistance against injustice is both necessary and possible. Together, we can create not only safer neighborhoods, but also vibrant communities where everyone works collaboratively towards a brighter future. Your voices matter. Never hesitate to stand up and advocate for change. It can lead to remarkable transformations in your own lives and the lives of those around you.